Hey everybody out there, my name is Tommy. This is my channel, Counting on the Big Sleep, and it's been a while since I've actually made a video. We're sitting outside. Once again, I'd like to get out once in a while. But I've been sitting around thinking about some things, and I just wanted to say that, I'm done. I'm done feeling bad. I'm done feeling depressed. I've had enough. You know? I am moving forward in my life. I am going to go back to work and rebuild my life once again. This year's been pretty rough. At my story is at 57, I lost my job. I did get another job, one I liked a lot. And I worked there for maybe like 3 weeks. It was an hour away. And I thought maybe, it'd be better if I worked closer. So I left that job because I got offered a new job at this new place that was close to my house. They asked me if I knew how to run a machine, and they told me the hours were like 2 to 10:30. Nice people, absolutely nice people. It was a steel warehouse. The only problem was I was not running a machine, and the hours were a lot longer. I was the machine, which general labor, it's fine. I was lifting up sheets of steel, steel, aluminum, all different types, all different thicknesses, all different, weights and stuff. And there was some heavy shit there. Heavy shit, it'd be two of us. We'd be breaking down pallets and putting sheets on other skids and stuff. And even though I was coming home and my hands were curling up into a ball, I was getting cramps. I was trying to deal with it. But then the hours were like 2 to whenever you get done. There was a couple of guys there that left the company. One guy was on a forklift, and he started early because he wanted to get off early. And they wouldn't let him go, and he got real mad about it. That's when they made a big announcement, like, if you start early, it don't matter, you have to stay until the job is finished. That was the way the place was. You had to stay until the job was finished. They could keep us there, they told us, until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then if we wanted to volunteer to keep working, we could. So they would work us, they could potentially work you up to about 16 hours if you wanted to work. But doing that kind of work for 16 hours, oh, man. I'm lifting, sheets of steel, me and another guy were doing this, and you get you don't get breaks or nothing. You get like an hour for lunch, and that was it. And at 58, it was rough, man. It was. And they even said, falling behind, got to keep up, got to keep going, you try and, take a breather here and there, So I wound up losing that job, which sucked big time. It did. It sucked. But, at least I was happy I was working. But so now I've been out of work for about 2 months, and I'm definitely 2 months behind on my rent. My lease ends on December 1st. Contemplating on what to do. I know no matter what I do, it'll be okay. Because I'm done feeling bad about the decision I made. And I've made some bad decisions this year. I really have. And I've been throwing a few curveballs. And the depression I was suffering from losing my job of 9 years and starting over was really a very heavy weight on my mind and everything. It just, it took me, by storm, took me by surprise. It messed me up more than I can say. I mean, there were times where I just wanted to give up and just, not even go on in life anymore. There were several times like that, you know. But I am done with that. I'm afraid of the unknown. And you know what? You just can't be afraid of the unknown because it's unknown. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm going to move forward in my life somehow, some way. No matter how deep of a hole I get into, I will find a way to climb out. I will keep on moving forward. I will keep on going. Because that's the only choice you really have. Unless you want to totally give up. And even though I've thought that at a time, I don't. I don't want to give up. I want to be around. I want to be around. I want, the people I love and care about to be around. I want to be around. I want to move forward. And I know I will. And I know I can. And I know someone out there may need to hear it. You can too. I have not gotten a new job yet. I will get a new job. I've been applying all over. I will find another place to live, whether it's in my van or it's at maybe a family member's house. They said they would let me stay. But that's a tough one for me. I've been on my own since I was a kid. I'm the 8th kid. My mom had 7 other kids before me, and I was the last one. So at that time, she was tired. She was done, in the sense of raising kids. Man, raising one was tough enough. 7? Oh, man. And plus now you're the 8th. So, but I've been on my own pretty much most of my life. Living by my own rules, making my own mistakes, trying to learn from them. Sometimes making the same mistake over and over again. And that's no doubt. I know I will make a ton more mistakes in life. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I want you to keep moving forward too. I want you to keep going. I watch YouTube. There's a lot of homeless people out there. It sucks. That sucks. I would not want to be homeless. I could be homeless. I might be. But I know I can turn it around. I have been homeless before when I was younger. And it took a lot of work, but it turned it around. I wanted a CDL. It took a lot of work, and I got that done. I needed a high school diploma because I quit school. It took some work, but I got it. I got one. But at 58, I was thrown that big curveball of having to start all over again because I was ready to wind it down, actually. I was thinking about my retirement, How am I going to make my side money for when, while I'm collecting Social Security? And this year just took me for a whole loop. It really knocked me down. It made me severely depressed. And I've been depressed for a long time. A little bit's happiness here, a little bit more depression there. But it's time, and I'm done with it. And I am moving forward. I am moving forward somehow, some way. And you too can too. Don't give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. Whether I have to stay with my cousins, or whether I have to live in a van, or if I just stay in my apartment and let them evict me. I hope it doesn't come to that. I would hope I would get a job before the eviction. I know I can get another job. I know there's the job out there. It's a tough racket. And I've even, humbled myself to try to get my old job back. The one that was an hour away. I sent out text to them. But once you kind of burn a bridge, I don't, And I didn't mean to burn it. And I didn't quit on bad terms with them, you know. I did lie and told them why I quit, why I was quitting. I told them because I moved, which was a lie. I got a new job. I thought the job was closer and it would be better. And it was closer, it was not better. It was, 10 times worse. 10 times worse. Holy crap. And I see them advertising today, They're looking for all sorts of people over there. you know. Yeah, they got like 3 or 4 job openings over there at the steel mill. I guess it would be not really a steel mill. It's a steel warehouse where they get, shipments of steel plates and stuff. And then they break them down and send them out to customers, So, it was a good job. Paid money, it was just too much for me. And they even seen it, I'm 58, lifting steel every day. My hands were curling up, like, someone burnt the middle of a palm, when I was getting home. My thumbs would lock up, I hurt all over. And but at 58, I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up that kind of pace, especially working 10, 12 hours a day. So now I find myself without a job, of course, and I've been depressed. But the unknown is coming up. The end is coming. The unknown. December 1st is when my lease is up, and I'll know exactly where I stand before that. Before that, I'll know exactly where I stand, what I'm going to do. My cousin's getting mad at me because I keep on being wishy-washy. I keep on, saying, yeah, I'm going to move in, and then I don't move in with them. I'm just afraid if I move out to the country, I kind of get stuck out there. And then I got to put my, trust in someone else. And that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to put your trust in someone else that they're going to help you. Especially when you've screwed up as many times as I have. And I have screwed up a lot. But the last 9 years, I did pretty good. I had steady jobs, bills were paid, income was good, But, yeah, this whole year, 2025, has been the worst year so far. And it made me severely depressed and severely not wanting to go on anymore. And then I just came to the realization, it took me a couple days ago. I've been feeling this way for some strange reason. I feel like everything's going to be okay. That I'm ready in my life to move forward and to, finish off things. I have at least 4 more years before I can collect my Social Security. So I have to work at least another 4 more years, The depression really did hurt. It takes time. It does take time to get past things. It does. But when the unknown is right there coming up at you, there's like a sense of, peace about it. Because, things are going to change. And you're kind of a little excited about it. I know I'll get another job. I know I'll keep moving forward. I know I'll always be a little bit scared of the unknown, especially when it's way up there. But when it gets close to you, there's nothing to be afraid of, really. I will be okay. I will move forward one way or another. And I want you to know that you can too. No matter how dark you feel, it'll be okay. You can move forward. You can live your life and have a decent life. So don't give up. I haven't. I won't. I will move forward. I am done being depressed. I am done being sad. And I am ready to go and get stuff done. All right, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that out there, and that don't give up hope. keep fighting, keep going. No matter how bad life is and how big of a hole you dig yourself into, you can and you will climb your way out. And it's okay. It's okay. All right, everybody. You have a good night. Bye.